Salam Media.
So I've been, and I'm sure you've been in the same boat, we've received video clips from Maulana Muhammed Twala that were circulating all around the country in the last couple of days, where he alerted Muslims that a particular store, a spa at North Beach in Durban, were selling a meat which was pork, in fact, right? And it was certified halal by Ixas, the halal authority, well, one of many, of course, right? And of course, it goes without saying that Muhammad Twala said that since it's pork, it can't be halal. How can they be certifying it? And said a whole lot of things. We chatted to Ixas yesterday. In fact, at that time, we also invited the Islamic Watchdog Movement to come on, and they felt no, they'd only want to be part of a full-on conference conversation, and we said no, we'll do it back to back. So we didn't have them yesterday, but we do have them now because Maulana Muhammad Twala, the man in the video, is also a key member of the Islamic Watchdog Movement. So Maulana Twala, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure and an honor for me to be live with you, Uncle Ashraf, and to our beloved listeners, inshallah.
Shukran, thank you. So let's get to, you sent out a video, right? I don't think we have to have the explanation about that one. I'm more interested in what happens next, right? We spoke to, or rather, let me put it this way. What were you hoping by sharing that video, that what you had seen as a pork that was apparently certified halal by Ixas, what were you hoping by circulating that video?
I wanted to reach as much as people at large. That was the intention, and alhamdulillah, the intention was received, because we don't know who was gonna buy from or purchase from that store. Alhamdulillah, as the Islamic Watchdog Movement, we have the platform, so we wanted to ensure that we use the platform so that any Muslim that was purchased from that particular store or purchased that particular product is made aware that this is the situation at the moment. Even if it was not pork, but it was doubtful, people still should be made aware and alert of what is happening.
Which gets me thinking, what is the role of the Islamic Watchdog Movement? I mean, who are you guys?
Islamic Watchdog Movement, in a nutshell, we are social activists. But in terms of the halal space, we are not just a halal body, but we are halal activists. It's something that, alhamdulillah, we are blessed with, myself, Brother Muhammad Mal, and the team, that we've never seen a precedence of activism when it comes to what you call this, a religious injunction of halal. So we took this role of being halal activists to ensure
what does a halal activist do? Yeah, what is the role of a halal activist?
A halal activist ensures that there is no abuse of halal, because we find that halal is not governed in South Africa. So anybody can use the word halal, even if they're not Muslim, even if they don't know what halal means. And you find that there is no maybe ulama body or any grouping as such that will go to any store that advertises falsely as halal and removes the halal certifications or what you call this, takes them to task for abusing halal or fraudulently using a halal certification.
Okay, but so I just want to understand. I want to understand that you're saying halal is not governed in South Africa. I mean, there are various controlling bodies, Ixas being one of them, and we'll talk about Ixas in a moment, right? Obviously, the MJC does it, Sanha does it, the NIHT, I can think of many others. I mean, all these are controlling bodies. Yes, I understand they have their own different modus operandi, right? But they are controlling bodies, and therefore they put their stamp of authority on certain products with clients that deal with them.
But that authority is only understood by the Muslim community. In terms of our legal standing, or in terms of our South African jurisdiction, the non-Muslim community and the broader community will say that there is nothing in the constitution that says you as Muslims have a standing in our country to govern halal. Halal is just a word. According to them, it's a word. We understand the importance of halal, and we understand what are the implications of halal as Muslims. And we've seen that, you know what, for so many years, there's so many ulama body. I'm not going to name them because then they're going to lash at me again. But there is no ulama body. Whenever anybody abused the word halal, whenever somebody put a halal stamp, even including the the so-called halal bodies. There's so many times, so many times I've seen where there's a halal stamp on a pork product before I even came into the halal space. But there was no ulama body, there was no grouping, there was no leadership that took them to task. There was nothing that was said. If a halal body is called with regards to this issue, they will say that it's not our certification, it's not our stamp, so we're not going to get involved.
Okay, so let's get to the issue of Ixas specifically then. So because their stamp was on that particular meat product, pork product that you claim, they, of course, I chatted to them yesterday, and that audio is available for anybody who wants to listen to it, right? The Sheikh Najjar made the point that yes, they investigated it via their own auditing team, and they concede that there was an error, but the meat itself was halal, although the wrapping claims it's pork. So I need to get the words right. The wrapping claims it's pork. What was inside the wrapping was not pork, right? And on the same wrapping, it did say halal. That means pork by its nature, cannot ever be halal, right? So they say that was the fault of that particular North Beach spa, and that's the reason that happened. And they've got an apology from the North Beach spa, and they've, of course, Ixas has learned some lessons around overseeing, because the person who oversees that has been on leave, and they need to up their game. So they concede that there's an apology from their side, but they do say that the actual product was not pork, although the packaging purported claiming that the product was pork, but halal pork, and as we know, that cannot be. What's your response to that?
Uncle Ashraf, categorically I want to state facts, because you see, I lost respect for Ixas a long time ago, hence the sentiments on the video. Many people have called me to say that, there's so many great ulama in Ixas, so how can you say that about them? The reason why I was so strong in my wording and my statement is because I wanted the ulama to take responsibility, because as an alim, you're not God. If you make a mistake, you make a mistake. Even Anbiya, when they made mistakes, they would say that they make mistakes. So we take precedence from the Sahaba Ikram. When they made an error, they said they'll make an error. Unfortunately, when it comes to Ixas, they had the most senior alim being interviewed by you yesterday. And there were a lot of lies. I want to put it out there on air. There was a lot of lies that he spoke. And it's something that it's making me to lose even more respect and confidence in them.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a chance. List the lies that he spoke. Go ahead.
Number one, the first lie, they said that they sent their senior auditors to investigate the matter. Now, auditor, according to my understanding, firstly in finance, is people that are not part of your grouping. They are external, and they are experts in a particular field when it comes to finance. So if you say they are auditors in halal, they are in other words, all they are saying that they were external halal experts that were sent to investigate the matter.
Okay, now Maulana, I'm going to just interject here because we can move one after the other. So on that point alone, I also tackled him on that one. Then I said the word auditor to me is financial overseer. That's my understanding. And then he rephrased. He said, no, by audit we means we investigated. Okay, so that's what he said.
Now the person that investigated that particular issue, if they call it an investigation, is their own halal inspector. The guy that I met with yesterday morning, I had a meeting with Mr. Fares, because I asked him if he's an alim. He said no, he doesn't regard himself as an alim. So I'm going to refer to him as Mr. Fares, who is a halal inspector for Ixas in Durban. He came with a friend of his. They are the guys that were called by SPA, or they saw the video and they went to SPA. They are halal inspectors for Ixas. They are the ones that gave the certificate to Ixas. So they are not auditors. They are just inspectors. So there were no senior people that were sent to.
Okay, so we agree on that one, right? What's the second lie in that conversation of yesterday?
The second lie is that they said that the halal supervisor was on leave.
Yeah.
Hence, there was an oversight. The halal supervisor, on our investigation and confirmation from the store owner himself, who I spoke to yesterday, he said that the halal inspector for Ixas was fired because of theft. So it's a lie that he was on leave. He was not on leave.
But that halal inspector was employed not by Ixas then, by the store, right?
And
If
now
he's
that is also that now is also a conflict. Imagine you, a person who's a non-Muslim, employing a Muslim, paying the salary of the Muslim to ensure that they are halal. Then if your boss buys anything, you can't tell them anything because you are not accountable to Ixa. You are accountable to SPA. So that also shows there's so many holes in the way. I mean, there's so many what you call this. It's just flawed
okay.
in my
What is
understanding.
is there any further lies there that was said?
The further lie, which is the biggest lie, Ixas says they've put on measures to ensure that this doesn't happen again. They've put
Mhm.
stringent measures to ensure that it doesn't happen again, which is a lie. When Ixa went to the store, they've pulled their certification away from SPA. Currently, Ixa is not affiliated to SPA anymore. So what measures have they put when they removed the certification? And I feel that Ixa is wrong and they've let the entire Muslim community down because they are paid by SPA, who is not Muslim, to ensure that they are halal. SPA is paying them jizya or whatever they call it. SPA is paying tax to Ixa to ensure that they are halal. Ixa is not servicing the client. They would SPA for 8 years. But now,
Yeah.
instead of Ixa taking responsibility of their own oversight, of their own inspector not being there, of them not putting somebody who's a locum to ensure that for the few days that there is no halal inspector or halal supervisor, there's somebody on standby. Ixa
Okay. Got it.
decides to take the certificate away as if SPA was at fault, not Ixa.
Okay. So Ixas said via Sheikh Najjar yesterday that there's been an apology from SPA and Ixas themselves have apologized. Now yourself, I think Alhamdulillah that you've actually raised the issue, because if you don't raise the issue and if nobody raises the issue, then we don't know. So I think that's very honorable. Now, having said that
Jazakumullah
part,
khair.
do you also accept the apology from the SPA and from Ixas?
I don't. I accept the apology from SPA because I feel that they don't have the expertise of halal, and it was not their mandate to ensure that all protocols of halal are observed. I accept the apology for oversight. I don't accept the apology from Ixa because Ixa representatives yesterday told me that, you know what, the sausage itself was not pork. It's just an oversight, and the branding was saying pork, but it was not pork. Now I asked him, does the store have a machine to test the sausage if it's pork or not? Because when we went to that particular store, I went there as a customer, I bought the particular product. After buying the product, the butcherman who was there, I asked him, do you know that this is a halal fridge? He said, yes. I said, but this particular product says pork, and you're not allowed to sell pork in this particular fridge. It's just a
Mm,
fridge, it's not even a halal section. The
mm,
butcherman, the butcherman who is the person who was stocking this particular product, he was supposed to tell me it's not pork. It's a mistake of print. But he removed all the products from the shelf in front of the store manager. So why would the store manager and the butcherman remove products if they are halal and they are not pork?
but
Now,
maybe
one day after,
maybe just wait 1 second, Maulana Twala. Maybe he would do that in the moment, because at that point in time you can't say we'll investigate it, but in the meantime we'll sell it like it is. I mean, the logical thing is to remove it, then investigate it, then determine that it is not pork or it is pork.
but he
Isn't
is
that
the one that
responsible?
wrapped the sausages. He's the one that made the sausages. And
Okay.
his manager was with him. So the least he could have done is to tell me that, you know what, it was a mistake. It was not supposed. We're not supposed to be using this particular wrapper. Now, a guy who's the owner of the store, who was not part of the store, he's not part of the butchery. He's just the owner. And outside guys who are ISA inspectors come after one day to say that, you know what, it's just a wrapping error, and there were no pork in the sausages. And there is no acknowledgement whatsoever. And it's not the first time, Uncle Ashraf. You know what? We wouldn't have exposed this and come hard on them if it was the first time. We've had numerous issues with Ixa.
Okay,
Not
I
on
want
this.
to ask you. I want to ask you about the other times in a moment. Just to get clarity from your side, you don't accept Ixa's apology? I heard that, right? But do you accept that it could well have been an error of packaging? That means the meat itself was halal, but the packaging was wrong. Even if you don't accept the apology, you accept that that could have happened.
I don't accept it.
Okay, now you're saying
If it was
that it's
if it was the if it was the first time, I would have accepted it. But I don't
okay,
accept it because
right?
because it's written, it's not at the back of the package, it's in front of the package. That it
Okay,
says that
and you've
this
said
product contains beef or pork and pork products. And
okay.
you have
Now,
the
now,
same package.
time. All right, Maulana Twala, time is against me, so I'll ask you three things in one go, right? You've said that this is not the first time it's happened to ICSA, where they've fallen short in terms of overseeing processes. It's happened on many occasions, number one. You've also said ICSA, there are no alims at ICSA, right? And number three, you've called for a shutdown of ICSA. So in probably 2 minutes, go through all three reasons and why you said what you've said.
Firstly, I'll just use one example because a lack of time. There was a post that we put up previously about a Waterloo Spa, which is not in central Durban. And we found that the issue there was that there was no halal supervisor. And Ixas said they have a supervisor. On calling the guy who was claimed to be the supervisor, we found that it's the same principle they use there, that this person is employed by SPA. And since the person is employed by SPA, then his boss can tell him the boss owns several spas. So he sent him to another one. So he couldn't service 2 and 3 spas at the same time as one man. And when we raised this issue with the person that I phoned from Ixa, I told them that, please, you know what, if you are certifying a non-Muslim entity that sells pork, because every spa has pork in it, you know that there's pork all the time in this particular store. Contamination is, you know what, the danger is very, very high. The risk
Right.
is very high. You should
Point
have
made.
10 inspectors at all times, but you're
Okay,
not
point
taking it
made.
seriously.
All right, point made. You've therefore said that at Ixsa, there are no alims at Ixsa, and you've also said they should be shut down, right? Explain that.
The reason why I said there's no alims at Ixa, the person that raised this to us, the person that has brought it forward to the Muslim community or to the IWM is not a Muslim. But this person takes our religion very seriously and understands the consequences of a Muslim consuming haram, especially in the month of Ramadan. So this person felt that they need to call us. Imagine if this is a non-Muslim, how much more a Muslim? A Muslim will not sleep. We had a brother a few days ago who's purchased from a certain particular store something that was doubtful because it said pork in it. This brother said, I can't sleep at night. Now, how much more an alim who has studied the Quran, who has studied the Sunnah? If there are ulama or so-called senior ulama in Ixa, they were not going to wait for us to do video upon video for them to start putting measures in place. They said on your live interview that they started Ixa before I was born, and they were saying this as an accolade, but I felt it is a smack on their own faces, because if you started halal before I was born, then I'm born now. You're supposed to have measures in place that are on international level, international standards.
Okay, point
They
well
should
taken.
relook at G.
All right, point well taken. Let's wrap up with this final thing. So in terms of the of your body, the Islamic Watchdog Movement, and the halal section, I'm going to just call you the halal police in inverted commas, and I'm sure you're going to smile when I say that, right? Would you be willing, considering you're playing an important role, right? Would you be willing to work with Ixsa for the benefit of the Muslim community to ensure that their processes are in place, keeping in mind Ixsa is not going to shut down tomorrow because you call for it? So is it in the better interest of the community for you to work with Ixsa and ensure that they follow processes?
Uncle Ashraf, I'll say this. You know what? The Muslim community are very angry. The Muslim community are very, very upset because, you know what, we have taken the role of being responsible for this halal sector. So if we're letting them down, when I say they should shut down, we can't shut them down as the Islamic Watchdog Movement, but they serve the community, the Muslim community. The Muslim community can shut them down. So they are not indispensable. In terms of the second part of your questions of working together, we want, as the Islamic Watchdog Movement, we are not an entity that is against halal bodies. People think we are just out there to close halal bodies and to show their faults. Our role was supposed to be a support structure for halal bodies. Hence, we find the mistakes that they can't find when it comes to their own halal certification. So we want to work with every halal body, but a halal body that takes responsibility And when they make the mistakes, they rectify the mistakes. They don't hide and try to, what you call this, to protect their brand. So if
Okay.
Ixa makes tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely, takes what you call this responsibility for the mistake that was done from their side, stop blaming others, and
Okay.
looks at the track record of how many years they've been serving the community, and they contact us and they say that, you know what, they want to put measures in place to ensure that things of this nature never happen again. We are all willing. Our hands and
And
our doors
and
are always open.
that's where we're going to leave it, Muhammad. Maulana Twala, Muhammad Twala, appreciate your time from the Islamic Watchdog Movement. So you've had two takes on the story. Both are there for you to watch and record and circulate. One from Ixa yesterday, and the other one now from the Islamic Watchdog Movement. You be the judge in terms of which side of the story makes the most sense to you. There's a message from Muhammad Hassan saying, Maulana Twala, please continue doing what you are doing. We are tired of seeing haram food being marked as halal. Well, there you are. Where do you sit on this one here? You can WhatsApp me 0617660355, 0617660355, or post comments on all the Salam Media social media platforms. Now we're going to get fired up, if we haven't already been fired up, right after this.